We are so grateful to be supported by these community champions: Sales MD, Team Friday, Realist Lab, Kiana Patterson, Diego Chavez, Jer Boucher, Heather Ryder, Janine Sua, Lily Roca, and Steve Kernan. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Friday, May 2nd. Unbelievable that it is May already. Apparently, we are deep into stoppage time. Welcome back to another episode of Stoppage Time this week with me, your host, your friend, your lover of soccer. And that's where the name Stoppage Time comes from. Stoppage Time, if you don't know it, if you're not a football/soccer fan around the world, then you may not appreciate the reference that stoppage time is that little bit of extra time that is added on at the end of regulation. That is kind of the accumulation of all the stuff that has happened during the match, the stoppages in play, the injuries, the penalty card, all that stuff, right? That the official adds on to their wristwatch and says like, okay, here we go. We have another 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. Or if it's the NWSL, our women's professional soccer league here in the U.S., it's like another 10 or 12 minutes. But that is the inspiration for our weekly visit, me and you, to just kind of talk about what's been going on. But we're reshaping this a little bit to make it even hopefully more valuable and useful to you all, as well as also being kind of a great promotional exercise and helpful kind of cross-collaboration tool for us. So one of the things I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and reference each of the most recent episodes that we have dropped of our Entrepreneurial Thinker show, which is the main show on this channel that you all are used to, that you listen to, or if you haven't found it, discovered it, please do find and discover conversations across literally a myriad of topics related to how we apply entrepreneurial thinking to this world across every sector and segment of society. There is, I promise you, I am certain that there is, over the last 160 episodes, an episode or a conversation that will strike you, will touch you, will inspire you, will motivate you, will empower you with some specific knowledge, with some specific relationships, with a pathway forward for you, for your business, for your organization, for your community. And so Stoppage Time is my chance to come to you and talk to you a little bit about my context and my kind of after-show perspective about the most recent current episode. But it's also a chance to just kind of then take it and tie that into the broader global landscape of life in 2025 here in Estados Unidos in the US, or on a global basis related to the topic. And then every once in a while, I might toss in a book recommendation or a show recommendation around a podcast or a TV show or documentary or something that I found inspiring or interesting in my own life. And hopefully it'll be a positive value add for you as well. So this week, super, super grateful for a very calm, rational, long-term viewed type of conversation that I got to have on the episode of Entrepreneurial Thinkers that just dropped yesterday across all our channels, video and audio, with Matt Petersen, the CEO and leader of LACI, or otherwise known as the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. I would argue that LACI is the preeminent clean tech innovation, incubation, and investment organization in the United States, worst case west of the Mississippi, so to speak. And I got a chance to sit down with Matt a while back and have a deep conversation about what's going on in our world today and the relative importance of kind of the clean green economy, or right policies around clean green economics development, taking care of the planet, right? Like developing a more sustainable way of life, a more sustainable way to do business, a more sustainable way to exist and build our societies and our economies. And I had three big takeaways that I wanted to share with you. One, this idea of a clean, green, technology-driven economy is inevitable. So it may not feel like it right now in the United States because there is just an extraordinary unsustainable level of opposition and of attack being waged against any kind of clean energy, green technology innovation by our current national administration, our federal government, led by President Trump. And so it makes us feel, it can feel defeated. You can feel beat down on a regular daily basis. If you just read the news clips or just try to keep up on your news via social media, you could very easily walk away thinking, oh my God, like this administration is going to actively subvert all of the progress that we've made on improving our environment, on creating great environmental policy standards and regulations, laws, on on managing how manufacturing and industry exists in the U.S. So as to make to maintain our country as an inhabitable place, right? As opposed to letting industry run roughshod over it. You could think that, oh my God, we're going to literally just watch as temperature rise globally and here in the United States kind of just runs unchecked, and basically we're all just going to burn at some point because of what this administration is doing. And I'm here to say, although everything that this administration is doing is willfully attacking all of the progress and trying to undermine it, and in some very naive and uninformed historical sense, they're literally pretending in their minds like they think they're going to be able to just turn it back, as if you can just like turn back the clock of history through executive order from the White House, and return us to some kind of almost pre-industrial or early industrial revolution oligarchical world where government let business run roughshod over the environment and our rivers and our lakes and our water systems and polluted our cities. They think that that's what they're doing because that will allow, innovation and entrepreneurs to grow our economy, which is all just absolute bullshit. But what they are doing in a very practical sense, while I say that Matt reminded us that the evolution of our economies and our planet and our industries to more clean, green, technology-driven mechanisms is inevitable. What we also discussed, it just kind of reminds us, is that all of these things will pass. A large number of these issues that we're facing right now, as far as backlash from the administration, are already being challenged successfully in court and being squashed. It's just that the news media doesn't pick up on those stories because they're not as sexy and they don't get the clickbait, enragement, engagement machine that is social media going. And so we're not hearing about the lack of impact that the administration is having in spite of their loud bluster. So it's one of those things I say oftentimes in social arguments, in social media, online or in person, right? Just because you're loudly yelling your point doesn't make your point correct. And that's a lot of what we're enduring right now. Having said that, they are going to undermine a lot of progress, but it's going to be more from the context of like slowing down the progress that we were making and that we inevitably need to make and that we will again kind of pick up the pace on and make in the near future, slowing it down unnecessarily. So that's more of what we're experiencing, not a like final act of a death blow that will literally stop the economy from innovating and stop the economy from building more green, sustainable ways to move forward. That's not what we're facing. So that's one of the takeaways, that this clean green movement is literally inevitable. Secondly, and this is a huge takeaway for me, is that in this same context that I'm talking about, cities are really leading the way for us. And that's really cool. I'm an old city guy, a city kid from Chicago, where when you grow up in Chicago, you have a unique understanding in kind of how you're taught and how you experience history to understand that cities are usually dynamically powerful places with powerful influence over the rest of what happens in the states, here in the United States, in our 50 different states, or in the country as a whole, and then through the world. We happen to live here in Los Angeles, so Los Angeles has an outsized influence as the second largest city in the country, as the 17th or 16th or 17th largest economy in the world. If Los Angeles metropolitan region was a country, we would be that large on that scale, right? And then as the, I think, second or third largest urban city economy in the world. So Los Angeles has an incredibly diverse economy, and we lead or are in the top two or three across literally almost every industrial category that you can measure. And we are doing so again when it comes to innovation, investment, and the forwarding of this clean, green, technologically driven future. That's very exciting. We're doing a lot of the initial moves here, and we're seeing the impacts here in our infrastructure investments, in our build outs of public transportation, which is happening at a scale and a pace and an amount of investment here in the U.S. Here in Los Angeles, comparatively to the U.S. and the world over the last 10 years and over the next 10 to 15 years, that is unprecedented. Whereas most of the rest of the world, especially in the United States, is not building. We are building and we are investing. So that's very exciting. And so the lesson for you all is to just remember that you can truly drive global change at a macro level by starting at a micro level in your communities. And then kind of related to that, the last takeaway, which I just thought was fascinating, and it's a punchy statement that Matt hits us with towards the end of the show, which I really encourage you to go listen to, share with your friends. Share with your friends who are in climate and climate investment, climate innovation, climate technology, entrepreneurs in climate. Share this episode because they will gather a ton of value from it. But he hits us with this idea of um, being a citizen entrepreneur, as he calls it. And I love this next phrase: take responsibility for your corner of the world. Like, I believe that with every bit of my being. I try and live that as best I can. I'm trying to do more of that now, here in Los Angeles as I get older, as I kind of plant my roots back here again after like a 10-year span, as a bit of a nomad around the world and specifically around Latin America. And I've got a great anecdotal story. Like just this last weekend, while amidst a pouring rainstorm on Saturday morning, I went down as part of the mayor of Los Angeles's programmatic outreach efforts called Shine LA, which is a volunteer kind of core of people, just average citizens like me, who in this case, we kicked off what will hopefully be like a 3-year engagement of continuous different applications of our time and our resources and our energies to take responsibility for our corner of the world. And we kicked it off Saturday with this incredible local cleanup effort. And so it was in Hollywood, about a mile from my house. And in spite of the rains, a couple hundred people still showed up. I probably had 500 or 600 people registered, but only a couple hundred people showed up because it was like literally raining sideways all morning. And so we got soaked to the bone, but I wound up I went by myself, and I wanted to just be a participant in this. I wanted to be a part of taking responsibility for my own corner of the world, even though I'd forgotten that Matt had said that to us in our episode. And it was an incredible experience. I joined forces with this small group of 5, 6 other people from literally all different parts of town, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, all different races, all different genders, like all different persuasions and views on life. And it was just incredibly empowering. I'm still buzzing from the involvement. And by the way, we cleaned up a kind of 4-block square radius of the city beautifully. And really felt like, wow, I took responsibility for my corner of the world. So Matt reminds us that that is an opportunity for all of us to do when we think about these things, when we think about how to make the planet more sustainable, how to create a better, more sustainable life. It is really ultimately all comes down to it's an economics argument. Like this isn't really about like saving the planet. The planet's going to live well beyond us. It's an economics argument. It's a how can we evolve, just like we've evolved from the horse and buggy to cars. Now we need to evolve from cars to something better and more efficient and cleaner. And we need to do that in all aspects of our lives. So I hope you enjoy the episode. I'm going to make a quick book recommendation of a book that I read last year, and I talked about it on here probably last year, but for those that don't remember, it's called Happy City: Transforming Our Lives Through Urban Design. It's by Charles Montgomery. It's on Audible. It's on Amazon. You can buy it wherever you want. And it goes back and it talks about how dense urban living and urban planning, and urban design can be the model for how we build a more sustainable life and more sustainable interactive communities, as well as more sustainable, interactive, and frankly, faster growing economies with a higher quality of life. Because again, punchline, like what this current presidential administration, federal government in the United States is essentially doing is trying to turn us back to a period where they, as the oligarchs in power and the people with all the money, had like unfettered, unchecked access to wealth creation and just use of everything in the country, including us as workers and citizens, as just kind of discretionary throwaway items. And there was no quality of life. Let me tell you, the quality of life in the late 1890s in the United States sucked. It was not good for the 99th percentile of people. And that's what we've got right now. We've got a 1% quartile of people that are trying to convince the other 99% that we don't need all this innovation. We don't need all this forward thinking stuff. We don't need to actually create a better economy, to create a better quality of life with better jobs and better paying opportunities and more stable rents for you. Like you don't need all that stuff. Like life used to be pretty good when you had a factory job and you could just go down and screw widgets into a bolt of some machine, and work 14 hours a day for 6 days a week, and then, make minimum wage, with no union protection. So yeah, that's all bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Happy City: Transforming Our Lives Through Urban Design by Charles Montgomery. Incredible book. Hope you go find it. And I hope it kind of wraps together everything that you learn from listening to this conversation with Matt and myself, on Entrepreneurial Thinkers with me, your host and friend. See ya. Happy Friday. We'll see you right back here next week with another great Entrepreneurial Thinkers episode on Thursday and another Stoppage Time visit from me on Friday.